Rockstar Games may have just canceled their next game in development.
Table Tennis 2?
No, Agent Table Tennis 2.
Hot take.
Rockstar Games is one of the largest developers of video games on the planet, and over the past couple of years, they really haven't been releasing a lot of games. After Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, we only got one other game that came out from them, and that was Red Dead Redemption 2.
I haven't heard anything about that game. Please, Shane, let me know.
It's about cowboys.
Is anyone talking about this game?
No one's talking about this game. But listen,
I'll have to research it.
There was another video game that was supposed to come out at some point because this game has been in development for a crazy long time, and the game was called Agent. But very recently, Rockstar allowed the trademark for Agent to lapse, which is leading a lot of people and ourselves to believe that the game is officially canceled. But this game has a very long history that deals all the way back at the beginning of the PlayStation 2 and Xbox.
Yes, okay. It is a very long history. I made a bunch of notes. So I'm going to take us through the timeline a little bit, and then let's kind of discuss the game and maybe pause it. Well, what could this have been?
Sure.
What could Agent have become, right? Okay, so the game Agent started as a Rockstar title back in 2003, as you said, for the PS2 and the Xbox. All we had heard about that was that the team of Rockstar San Diego went to, I believe it was Cairo, for research purposes. They were taking like thousands of photos of Cairo getting ready for this game Agent. After that, we don't hear too much. There are rumors that this team that was working on whatever the Agent was back in 2003 was moved over to work on Red Dead Revolver, not Red Dead Redemption. This is 2004. Okay?
So this is a long time ago.
A very long time ago.
Right.
So there's speculation that Agent was kind of pushed to the side or canceled entirely as it was in that form factor so that they could work on that other title.
All right. So at this point in time, just to know that a game has been in development at this point, you could easily have canceled the game at this time, all
yes.
right? When you're this early on, having a trip to go take a look at like some location and stuff, you could theoretically end it here.
It sounded like early production stuff.
Yes, but folks, it didn't end here. It
goes.
kept on going.
Okay.
Right.
So there's silence between 2003 and 2006. Nothing. Okay. E3 2007. It's a good year. They announced that a new game was coming to the PlayStation 3, an exclusive title that was coming to the PlayStation 3, and it was from Rockstar.
Now, this is the first time I heard about the game.
Okay, but there's no title. Just an exclusive IP was coming to the PS3. Rockstar at the time had built up such good faith with PlayStation because of the booming success that Grand Theft Auto was, right?
Yeah, everybody was so curious to see what they would do next because essentially everything they touched at this point turned into gold.
Yeah, and though Grand Theft Auto did come to Xbox eventually in like a trilogy pack, it was, it developed. It blossomed on the PlayStation 2, 3, and Vice City and San Andreas.
Yes.
Okay. So, the IP's exclusive to Sony. We got that. Okay. So Sony seemed really eager to grab up this IP. The former president of Take-Two, of course, he's going to say wonderful things about his game, right?
Of course,
but he said this title, it would set the bar for the rest of the industry. This was going to be enormous, whatever this game was. Okay?
Yeah.
Flash forward to E3 2009. Finally, it's revealed that this game, the name of the game is, once more,
Agent.
Agent.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the first time we've heard that Agent is going to be coming out from Rockstar since those very early days in 2003.
Now, at this point in time, a lot of people are actually thinking that this is L.A. Noire. This is actually a very common thing that happens online. A lot of people thought Agent and L.A. Noire were the exact same game, but they're not.
No.
They're completely different experiences.
Yes, and actually a representative of Rockstar had said that. Hey, no, this is not L.A. Noire. It's a completely different thing. Sam Houser, one of the Houser brothers, founders of Rockstar, said, with Agent, we are making what we believe will be the ultimate action game.
Yeah. Now, basically, what's going on here is that you're dealing with a game that they've got a lot of time and effort put into. At this point, anyone that has put this many years into the development of a game, you would have to assume something would come out, whether it be trailers or footage or anything like that. But nothing comes out.
Yeah, well, it's Rockstar, right?
Yeah.
Actually, just talking about Rockstar having a presence at E3 seems so bizarre to us in this day and age, right?
Yeah.
Rockstar's usually so quiet.
Yep.
Okay, so Rockstar wound up listing Agent on their website, and it's still listed there today. They have a synopsis, okay? So Agent takes players on a paranoid journey into the world of counterintelligence, espionage, and political assassinations during the height of the Cold War. This is going to be set in the late 70s.
Yes. So that's kind of why I would assume that we're hearing things about them going to Egypt and stuff like that.
Yep.
They're trying to get essentially a European vibe to this and a Middle Eastern vibe, because during the 1970s, there's a lot of issues that are going on in world politics in that area. So this kind of sounds like it's going to be a game that Rockstar's never really done before. They have done a lot of things that are character pieces or like This Is America and stuff like that, but they've never done anything quite in this style.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what this game is telling me at this point.
Right. So even though this is supposed to be different from anything that Rockstar had ever done, the again, former president of Take-Two said this, I think. Of course, he's going to say great things about this game.
Yes.
I think this game is going to do GTA levels of success, of profits. This is going to be enormous, huge.
Now, remember, when he says this at this point in time, this isn't the Grand Theft Auto we know now. Grand Theft Auto now has more of a focus on online than it does on single player. I mean, there's still a great single player experience to be had there, but realistically, what Grand Theft Auto is at this day is an online powerhouse.
So this is 2009. This is after Grand Theft Auto 4.
I believe so,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So Grand Theft Auto 4, you had said the multiplayer there was something there, but...
yeah. Grand Theft Auto 4 has great multiplayer in bits and pieces, but comparing that to what you have in 5 are completely different experiences. They do not feel the same at all. And I know that at this point, they're very excited to get more on that bandwagon.
Yes.
Grand Theft Auto 4 at this point has two different expansion packs that come out.
That's right.
And those expansion packs give you different online features and stuff like that. But it really was a single player focused game. That's how they were. And you just could play with your friends in a sandbox, essentially. That's what the online experience was.
Okay, so at this time, they were saying that the game could come out as early as 2010. That never happened.
Yes.
Okay, E3 2011, the CEO of Sony Computer Entertainment, Jack Tretton, he did an interview, and in that interview, he was basically unsure of whether this was still solely coming to a Sony platform. It could also come to Xbox, whatever.
Sure.
He was unsure. So that shows that there's some instability there. Obviously, some conversations were not being had, or
well, at this point, with the PlayStation 3. It's okay. When the PlayStation 3 came out, there was a lot of people that were really excited for it. But then, as time went on, a lot of developers were probably getting worried about releasing games unique to that platform, because the Xbox 360 continued to keep selling better than the PS3. Mm-hmm. And then when the Wii came out, the Wii was... I mean, this all happens around the same time. The Wii starts selling like hotcakes. Everyone's buying a Wii. People are buying a 360. The PS3, not so much. Right. Now, if Rockstar had released an exclusive game that was whatever this is, Agent, had that been on the PS3, it likely would have been a huge impact, because it would have driven consumers specifically to that platform. But Rockstar at the same time would be like, well, we probably could sell more of these on the 360. So that's got to hurt them a little bit. And there's got to be a lot of questions going on behind closed doors about should they continue this project or not. But more things keep happening.
Yeah, okay. So also in 2011, Rockstar North artist, this is an artist that wound up leaving Rockstar, Leigh Donahue, released images of some of the work that they've done on Agent.
Yeah.
And it's a very, it seems like a very warm climate area. We don't know too much about the exact area that it is.
Yeah, but what we saw from this were a huge amount of images. Now, there's just a ton of images all over the place. We don't know what's real.
Yeah.
We don't know what's fake. We assume those are the real ones because they came from a developer there.
Yeah, it's a developer's or an artist's portfolio that had worked with Rockstar.
Yeah.
Okay. After that, the next few years, silence.
Yep.
Complete silence. Okay. In the interim, in 2013, once again, the trademark was renewed for Agent. Okay. Fast forward to 2015, more images are leaked from the same era as Leigh Donahue's postings that show kind of similar styles of assets and things. So this is from Rockstar artist Darius Charles Hatton, and he says that they were actually taken off of Agent to help work with GTA 5.
I mean, I could see that. This is where you start to see that this game is in troubled development time. I mean, it's been over a decade now that they've been working on the game.
On and off, yeah.
And like every other game that they release, here's the issue. When you design a game early on, way back in the day, And whatever that concept and the ideas are for that game, some concepts bleed into other games, right? Some engine assets, art assets.
Sure. Think of Titan from Blizzard, right?
Exactly. Right?
Became Overwatch.
Things like that move over to other games. But the game's idea, the core concept of what the game is, over a decade might just become watered down when you compare it to what else is coming out at the same time.
And again, as I always say, the gaming industry is always evolving, right?
Yeah.
So a game that was developed like a half decade ago, even a few years ago, like the atmosphere could be so different that maybe that game isn't as viable.
Sure.
In the current climate.
From what we have seen, at the time of the PlayStation 3, there are 3 Uncharted games, right? And all 3 Uncharted games are big experiences. Cinematic experiences,
definitely.
right? And they're action experiences too.
Very streamlined.
What we know of this game, and from the assets we've seen, it doesn't seem to be an open world experience.
Let's talk more about that a little bit later.
Sure,
we got a lot to say, but we got to kind of point a few more things. I'm almost done. Okay, so the trademark again was renewed in 2016. In August of 2017, more images are leaked from a Twitter account called Bully2Info,
and we don't know if these are real.
Yeah, these are the ones that, okay, they look very well done. Yes, they do look like they are assets made from someone who works at Rockstar. They have very much the kind of look that you'd see on the GTA loading screens, those sorts of things, and many of the landscapes look like they could be a Rockstar game. But there's no, I don't believe there's any like specific artist linked to these that had worked with Rockstar.
Yeah. And I mean that right there is kind of an issue. You get when you see these images, you don't know if they're 100% real.
Yeah.
And they might be coloring your opinion on what the game is.
Exactly. That's the thing. These images are so different from what we pretty well know are official images from real artists that work with Rockstar. That
Middle Eastern vibe in one, and the images that got leaked look more like they're from Winter series.
Yeah, right. You said Canada specifically.
They look like Canada.
Yeah. Okay. So that pretty well gets us to today. So November 19th, 2018, the trademark is lapsed. Rockstar doesn't cancel the game necessarily, but when you let a trademark lapse, you're saying it's done.
Yeah, like they wouldn't be able to release the game now with the same name, so maybe they change the name and all that stuff, but it'd be very strange for them to do that. Now, this is where we start to really dig into the game. So everything we saw looked like it was going to be a single-player experience.
Exactly. Okay, so let's talk about the sort of timeline here, right? Agent was being worked on for so long. GTA 4 had come out, and the multiplayer had seen some success, right? The multiplayer was pretty big in GTA 4.
Yeah, I mean, like it was. I remember playing with a bunch of people, and it was fun. Like you didn't have an experience like that prior to that event. Yeah.
So after GTA 4 is released, Rockstar releases a couple of other games, not what you normally think of when you think of Rockstar right now. Not sandbox style games, open world games, right? LA Noire, yes, it was kind of open world, but if you've played the game, you know that it's a pretty
it's.
I mean that in like the tiniest sense.
Yeah,
right?
it's like it is an open world place where you can walk around and you can explore
you can
things,
drive around and stuff.
But you're not really free to do a bunch of things,
right? And there isn't all that much about. Okay, so LA Noire is released, and it's not as successful as Rockstar had first anticipated.
Oh, sure.
In fact, the studio winds up closing down shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
Right?
We're talking about Team Bondi, the folks that actually developed the game. Bondi, whatever it is. Yeah, they actually closed down, and they were supposed to become a new Rockstar studio after that.
Australia?
I think so. Yeah. But the whole thing doesn't happen.
Right. Okay. And then there was another game that was released, another game in a series of great games, but this one, some people have mixed reactions. Max Payne 3 was another single-player game.
So from my own personal opinion on this one, Max Payne 3 is not as good as Max Payne 2, is not as good as Max Payne 1. Both Max Payne 1 and 2 are really good games that focus on what the character is. But Max Payne 3 just feels like they needed to use the character. Like, you know what it almost felt like? They made a Max Payne game and it was some other story for something else. Like, if that story was Agent and they put Max Payne on the cover, I would have believed it.
Ooh, now you got me thinking about
I don't think that's what happened here.
Okay. Well, that wasn't something that we had spoken about before. Okay, so after these two games are released, right, LA Noire doesn't do so hot, or as hot as Rockstar wants. Max Payne, same thing. A lot of people felt like you felt, and either didn't pick up the game or didn't enjoy their experience as much as they enjoyed with the other two Max Payne games.
It's a beautiful controlling game, amazing visuals. It's just the narrative really didn't seem to matter.
Yeah.
And when you think about that, what we're dealing with at this point is L.A. Noire, there's no online features.
Yeah, exactly.
But Max Payne did have online features. And it failed to grab people as much as, I would argue, as much as Grand Theft Auto 4 is online, and definitely what comes next, Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yes, what comes next has an online, it implicates or places online into the game in such an impressive way that it's still enormous today.
Yeah.
It's still making money hand over fist. Grand Theft Auto 5, I believe, single-handedly, like, completely adjusted the way that Rockstar looks at games.
100%. Yeah. Once you've released Grand Theft Auto 5 and you see how much money you make from the online universe, why would you ever want to make another game that doesn't have online? Look at Red Dead Redemption 2. We're like very close to getting an online chunk of that game released where you can go online and do things. The original Red Dead Redemption also had an online feature as well, which was really fun to play. And you can see that they were really making online experiences a central focus for Rockstar games.
Yes.
So this Agent game had been in development for so long that no doubt whatever the experience was originally supposed to be, and if we're talking about a single player experience, its online would fail to live up to what their other games are like.
Right. From everything that we've seen, from the artwork that we've seen, specifically a leaked image of a map, we've looked at it, and it seems like a very like single-player, tailored sort of map zone. It doesn't seem like something that's connected to a larger map, which you'd think of for a lot of other Rockstar games.
Yeah, the way you can tell this, by the way, is typically when you see online worlds and open worlds, they're designed to be basically movable through open areas. So if you see a street corner, the street corner has an intersection that goes to other streets. It's
very accessible.
Yeah, right. It's a very open world so that you can go around. But when you see closed off buildings that are back to back and there's no escapes and everything kind of has one street,
very directed movement.
Exactly. And that's the indicator of a single player game. And all the assets we saw, every single thing has that exact same idea. In fact, some of the assets that we saw from that Bully 2 info leak, which may or may not be real, we saw things like tunnels and stuff like that. Now, tunnels are very important, especially back in the day.
You probably remember in the mid-2000s that tunnels were everywhere. Why were they everywhere, Shane?
Well, there's a reason. Tunnels, doorways, hallways, or elevators. The reason why this happened is the moment you got through a tunnel or anything like that, it was loading the next section of the game and it was blocking off the previous section. That way that the system could just focus on this new area.
Metroid Prime did that very well.
Yeah, Metroid Prime did that. There's actually in Grand Theft Auto Vice City, there are bridges in the world, and when you cross the bridge, you go to the second chunk of the island, and it actually had to load that second chunk of the island, right? So these are the things that you would typically see in open world games, and even in single player games, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So this is why I assume from everything we saw, this was a single player experience. But I believe other things happened at the same time that also kind of worked against Rockstar.
Okay.
Remember, at this time, they're looking to release a PlayStation 3, I would assume a PlayStation 3 exclusive game. What other PlayStation 3 exclusive single-player action-focused game comes out that has a massive impact?
Is it Table Tennis 2?
No.
Okay. No, it's Uncharted. Uncharted, the first game comes out, it's pretty big.
Yeah.
Second game comes out, it's enormous.
Massive.
We're thinking, sometime within this timeline, Rockstar could have been looking over Sony's shoulder and saying, like, possibly doing this better than we are.
Right? I know that sounds like heresy, but remember, Naughty Dog releases 3 Uncharted games. 3! Before the PlayStation 3 is done. And then they also get another game out there in the mix, too.
Last of Us.
Yeah. 4 games.
Yeah. Single-player experiences.
I mean, I cannot imagine what Rockstar would have been able to do to compete against something like that, because even if they had created a really action-packed experience, everything that they had been designing was from previous years, and Naughty Dog was releasing things with new ideas constantly. One of the best, coolest levels I've ever seen in a video game, still to this day, is the train sequence.
Thank you.
In Uncharted 2.
I was like, oh, which one's he going to bring up? Of course, it's the train sequence.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of really cool sequences in all the games, but that train sequence really stands out because it really feels like you're moving and things are evolving.
It also provides an awesome narrative, sort of like, oh my gosh, yeah. If I was developing a game very similar in feel to Uncharted, like a single player game, seeing Uncharted 2, if it was around that time, I would have just been like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah.
And maybe that's exactly what happened here.
I mean, at this point, we have to know that between Uncharted 1 and Uncharted 2, they designed Uncharted 2. They didn't make Uncharted Uncharted 2 back when they were making Uncharted 1. So the fresh, crazy ideas they had happened at that point. And if Rockstar were to have released a game, even being Rockstar at the time, they would have had to have a competition head-to-head with these folks.
Well, Max Payne 3, I think, was released within the Uncharted area.
But like we said, it didn't have the impact
exactly.
that they wanted to,
So maybe that feeds directly into what we're talking about. Maybe they were developing another experience that was very cinematic and straightforward. They saw what happened with Max Payne, and they saw what other folks were doing with cinematic experiences.
We're not saying Max Payne 3 is a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. It's good for what it is, and we know there's a lot of people out there that really enjoyed it, and I believe a lot of people bought it.
Yeah.
It's just when you compare it directly against the other games they were producing, including Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto, those games had a larger impact as a whole.
Yeah, very, very profitable. And in the end, that is the most important aspect of these things. Like if something's very profitable, you keep digging into that. If there's a need for more of that product, you dig into it. That's why we have Red Dead Redemption 2. That's why we have Red Dead Redemption 2 with multiplayer components too.
Yeah. You know, I think this is why we're never going to see Agent, because whatever Agent was supposed to be, I think that the idea originally has changed so much that whatever they were developing for this long clearly just didn't have a home anymore. The original consoles it was developed for have long since passed.
I mean, it's jumped a couple of console generations.
It really has.
It would have come out 2 console generations later.
Yeah.
Right?
Think of it this way too. Little tiny designs, like we talked about, the idea of having hallways and alleyways and doors and stuff like that. If you were to have taken those concepts and brought them over to a modern system, the game would feel older because you see all these limitations in level design. Typically with single-player experiences from back in the PlayStation 2 era, you'd have a batch area that you would fight in or have something go on, and you go to the next area, you couldn't return to the previous.
Little kind of arenas, right?
Exactly, yeah. And that's something that Max Payne actually did on that modern system. But it's funny because when you compare what Max Payne is compared to what Uncharted is, I think Uncharted has lasted a lot longer and has been a more valuable property in comparison to Max Payne, which really felt like it just didn't live up to everything that 1 and 2 kind of showed us.
Right.
And I think a lot of that was just they didn't give enough reason for the character to exist in that universe, where Uncharted they did. And if they wanted to just build something new with Agent, that would have been very, very difficult.
They would have had to really dig in with their writing team, because I think that was one of the huge things about, especially Uncharted 2 and 3, maybe not necessarily 1, but 2 and 3, the way that the characters were written and everything, that if a competitor saw that they didn't have the kind of writing chops that those games had, I'd feel very, bad releasing a game that wasn't up to par.
And even if the game had some life, even after all of this, or during the release of the PlayStation 4 and all that, the moment Grand Theft Auto 5 came out and the online experience blew up, I think Agent was just like, okay, done. We can't make this our next game when we've done this, right?
We had already heard about people being pulled from Agent to go work on GTA 5. That was one of the artists, the official artists from one Rockstar dev team.
And look, there's actually sequences in Grand Theft Auto 5 that are online that have like secret agent missions and stuff like that you can play with a bunch of people multiplayer. So no doubt in my mind that some of those ideas that they had with Agent, they just put into this game so that you could basically get something out of that. I don't want to say that Agent was worthless and they didn't get anything out of it, because we don't know exactly what was developed there, what ideas fostered from that group. But like we saw with Titan, you can make a crazy big experience and have all these ideas on the table, and then you can just cherry pick the best and make a game like Overwatch. So I think Agent has lived through other games, but it basically has worn out its usage, and I think that's why they just don't care about it anymore.
And now it is just a piece of hot take material, unfortunately. Maybe other stuff will leak out. I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you want to play Agent? Well, I would love to see what they had personally at the very end.
I would like to see whatever the last ideas were. And now that the license is lapsed, and let's be fair, now that Red Dead Redemption 2 has come out, there might be a whole bunch of people that may be leaving the company, because sometimes you see this in the game industry. You release a game, then a group of people leave to go on work on different projects because they're finished with that project. If that happens, maybe they'll start to bring some footage with them and leak it accidentally just so we can see what was being developed for so long, because personally, I'm really curious.
I heard that they're actually inputting Time Machine DLC into Red Dead Redemption 2, and you will be able to play Agent 60% of Agent. It's not finished. Anyway.
Hopefully. Yeah, let us know what you think about this. Are you excited that they've stopped working on Agent to make something new, or are you sad that you're never going to see anything from this game likely? Let us know what you think.